Well, shall we get started?
Let's get started.
Thank you. Welcome. Well, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Today is February 4th, 2025, and the time is 11 o'clock. So we're going to have roll call. Commissioner Juan,
I'm here.
Commissioner Harvey,
Here.
and I'm here, so this is a full quorum. It's customary for us to have somebody offer a prayer. Do we have any volunteers to give us an opening prayer? Talia, do you want to come? Oh, Talia's coming. Sorry. Thank you, Talia.
It was quiet for so long.
Thank you, Talia.
Dear Father in heaven, we are so grateful for the opportunity we have to gather in working on helping improve our county and our community. We pray for the guidance and the direction that we need and as we make good decisions. And for our commissioners, we thank you for all that we have been blessed with and pray for our country. And these things we say in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
Would you join us in saying the pledge to the Legion? Or last? Commissioner Harvey, do you want to lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Oops. Trying to get close. Commissioners, did you have a chance to look at the agenda? Did anybody have any conflict of interest?
Madam Chair, I have no conflict for myself.
Okay.
Neither do I.
Me neither, so at this time, we'll turn the time to Mac for a public comment.
Okay, so there's only one person signed up for public comments right now. And so I think, Mr. Nelson, you had signed.
I just thought.
Oh, you're just here? Okay, no, that's totally fine. So if there's nobody online, if there's anybody in the audience that would like to make a public comment,
We're
Okay.
all
quick
awesome.
3. That's a good public comment. We like that. It's not debatable. Jen, did you want to make a public comment? You betcha. Just state your name for the record and where you reside in the county. You've got 3 minutes.
Good morning, Commissioners. Trent Herring out of Blanding City. In following a lot of what's going on in the planning and zoning and the things that have happened with that, and seeing the amount of people that have been showing up to meetings and the amount of people giving public input, I think it's awesome to see that, even if it's negative comments. I think the public needs a chance to speak. One of the biggest things I saw more specifically is how many people had to take a day off work to be here for an 11 o'clock meeting. And was wondering if there's any thought or interest in possibly doing one of your meetings each month in the evening to allow San Juan County residents to possibly not to have to take that day off work, find child care or whatever that may be, to possibly get more input, whether that be negative or positive input. But just a thought I had in mind if that was an option or an opportunity that people would have to attend an evening meeting instead of having all meetings at 11 o'clock. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Trent.
Thank you. Anybody
Okay,
else?
Commissioners, that is your public comment period for today.
Okay, next is the consent agenda, and I don't know if everybody knows what the consent agenda is. Matt, can you, before you read it, would you explain a little bit what it means.
Okay, so, and it kind of stated on the agenda, so the consent agenda is the means of expediting the consideration of routine matters, and so these are amendments to contracts that have already been approved, or appointments to boards, things like that are just routine operational business for the county. It's an effort to where we don't have to explain each and every item on there, where it's routine. We try to get them collectively as a whole, under the consent where you would pass and approve those. A lot of times you'll see the small purchases come under consent. Your minutes approval, check registers, those type of items that typically are routine to us, and we continue to see them, separate from the business action items, which take a little bit more discussion. On the consent agenda, if there are items on here that you'd like to have further discussion, you can always ask to, in a motion, to remove those items under consent so you can have further discussion on those separate from the consent agenda item approval. The approval and the motion for the consent agenda is all inclusive, so when you make your motion, you're approving all of the items that are listed under the consent agenda unless you choose to take some of them out. With that being said,
Can I show them this?
can you show
This is the packet. You know, I love this because
only over
each of
300.
this, each item, it has, when we're looking at checks, so whatever we're looking in, whatever the item is, we have everything. All the description, I think where the money's going, we can look at that and kind of, so this is my favorite thing that I look forward on the weekend and to, to be, to learn, you know. So anyway, so, I just want to show that we don't go blindly. We already, you know, we already read and we already know where the money's going, or whatever we are approving is already been presented to us, and we have here where we can make reference to that. So
now also just
Thank
to
you.
note, it doesn't mean that you can't ask questions on any of these items. Typically what I've seen in the past, if there's questions on the check registers, is like, well, why was this payment made for this amount, things
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
You can ask those questions without having to pull it out and place it as a business action item. With that being said, you do have 11 items on today's consent agenda. You have item number 1, the approval of January 21st, 2025 commission meeting minutes. You have the approval of the check registers for January 1st to January 17th, 2025. Approval of the check registers for January 18th to January 30th, 2025. Item number 4 is the approval of the renewal of the Swinging Steaks LLC DBA Still Steaks Hat Rock Inn Restaurant. This is a beer sales only application located in Mexican Hat. Item number 5 is the approval of the San Juan County COVID-19 Health Disparities and Advancing Health Equity contract between the State of Utah Department of Health and Human Services and San Juan County. This is amendment number 3. Item number 6, the approval of the COVID-19 San Juan County Health Department Paycheck or HD Paycheck Protection Program and Healthcare Enhancement Act Expansion 2021 contract between the State of Utah Department of Health and Human Services and San Juan County. It's amendment number 4. Item number 7 is the approval of the San Juan County Health Crisis Response Workforce Supplemental Agreement between the State of Utah Department of Health and Human Services and San Juan County for state fiscal year 2022 amendment. This is amendment number 4. Item number 8 is approval of the San Juan County Health Department agreement with the State of Utah Health and Human Services Department for the STD Disease Intervention Services 2019 amendment number 7. Approval of the 2025 Community Service Block Grant Renewal Contract between Southeastern Utah Association of Local Governments and San Juan County. Item number 10 is the approval of the appointment of Annette Mears and Jackie Jepson to the San Juan County Library Board for 4-year terms. And item number 11 is the approval of appointment of Brian Ballard to the Tourism Tax Advisory Board for a 4-year term. That, Commissioners, is your consent agenda items for today.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or concerns, or do we have a motion?
I would like to pull out 2 and 3, item number 2 and number 3
Number 2,
on the consent agenda.
which one of those?
It's the check registers. So do we want to discuss that right now?
What do we do? Do we move it to this later in the
You can
agenda?
make a motion to approve everything other than item number 2 and number 3 for further discussion.
Okay. So we have a motion for that.
So I motion to pull them out. Do you want to discuss?
No, we
discuss them
can.
now, or do you want them to pull out? Which would you
Well,
like?
I think we can pull it out and
Okay.
discuss it later.
So I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, but pull out items 2 and 3 to discuss later.
Okay, Commissioner, do we have a second?
What exactly are you looking for in the register, Commissioner?
So when I look at the register, and this is just probably 4 weeks worth, is that correct? It's
So this one here that we're looking at on the screen right now is from January 1st
first through
to
January
the
17th.
17th.
And then it's the subsequent one. So I actually went back beyond that to other ones that were approved. And I made a list, and there are so many. You can see the ledger date where the invoice came in on a certain date, but it was paid on a different date. So we have invoices that were logged in on August 16th, October, July, October. We have several from September. We also have some to Equitable that were paid, that they were logged. So from May to November, I think that is, that payment didn't get to Equitable until January. So the question I have with that is, Equitable, I assume, is people's, does that come out of the payroll and that is invested in, and so that money's being held onto? And my next question is, I mean, I have 3 pages just off those to check off what we have this month. So if we have the money, why is it taking us so long to pay the bill? I would like to know what the late fees are that we're paying, because I can guarantee we're probably paying late fees on those. And then the next question is, and we have some to the Utah State Tax Commission, and I don't know if that is for the quarter that, that it was from October through December and then paid in January, but is, because if not, the tax commission penalizes heavily.
It's always quarterly.
Okay. So, but I saw the Equitable, I see so many of these checks that the invoice date is so far back, but then we're paying them here. So my next question on that is if we pay them in January and they were due last year, are they coming out of our 2025 budget when they were budgeted for 2024?
One of the things that we've gone through in we call it the auditor department, but really it's the accounting function for the entire county, whether it's payroll or accounts payable. Peter has implemented an outstanding process that all of the department heads are to submit their invoices when they receive them, coded and electronic, and then we drop them into our accounting system. Used to be by hand and put it into the different mailboxes, and we'd get them and then code them and put them into the system. So we're kind of push that back out to each of them. And so some have been quicker than others to adopt the process, you might say. And we also have gone back and have found items that needed to be paid. Now the Equitable is for a pension for several employees that have been long-term, that when Peter came on, the baton wasn't passed to Peter, and I didn't know about it. So they had some withholdings that needed to be forwarded to Equitable. And so we caught that thanks to the employees. They came and asked us about it. And so that was really good.
So, but they've missed out on that being in their pension since May.
That is correct.
So I guess what I'm requesting,
They didn't come up to us either that their withholdings were going in. And so we both didn't, they didn't check on us. We weren't even aware of it. And then when it was made known to us at the end of the year, we reconciled it quickly.
okay, so I think what I'd like to do is if we can, I would like to speak to your department if we
Yeah.
can and see what that system is, because obviously we have a breakdown in the system somewhere with the departments sending the bills in. I mean, is everyone on the same page? That's my question, because I can see some disparity here between who's getting bills and what direction they're coming in and how they're being paid out. So we need to put a handle on
I'd
that.
asked about some earlier invoices that hadn't been paid until year end or even into 2025. Do you have any specific invoices
Yeah.
that we could address them?
So if you look at this one, so if you go, December 14th to the 31st, that register I went back. We had Abbott. That invoice was due. It was logged in March, on March 5th. And then it wasn't paid clear until December 20th. And then we have Zoll Medical. We have an interest expense of $4,600, which I would have a question on. We have a garnishment that it was logged in November, but it wasn't paid until January. So garnishments need to be done every single month, I would assume. I mean, we can look at all of those, but I don't want to say people's names who are, well, I guess we can't because they are public, but like we have some reimbursements that were clear back in July. We have food services from September. So I just made a list off mostly this one that is before us today, but then I went back for just a few minutes in December and looked at, December's meeting and looked at some of those. So we probably need to have a systems check on how we want to take hold of that and make sure that every department head understands the process. That's my concern, is that we're all on the same page and making sure these are paid, and why the bills aren't going in. So if we could further that conversation, then I'll get with your department.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Welcome anytime.
All right. Thank you.
So do you want to not approve these?
Well, they're
until you have
paid.
your questions, because that's really what you're doing, is you're approving your checkbook expenditures.
So I would like to look into it
Okay.
myself, unless the other two want to approve that.
Chair, I think the motion was to remove item
The two.
2
Yes.
and 3, and I just requested clarification on the specifics. So I'll go ahead and
Second.
I'll second your motion so we can deliberate on it separately.
Okay.
So let's vote.
So what happened in the meantime with this if it doesn't get recognized?
So they have been paid.
Well, they're paid.
Okay.
And so it's just the
Okay.
questions,
Yeah.
and we can set with Lori and or Commissioner Mon and go through those.
Okay, it's just only this. I thought there was two
So we wouldn't
items.
approve them today. I know.
I don't have a problem. I could approve them with just having the follow up that goes with it. So, but I just want to make sure that we were kind of discussing and seeing what I saw on those.
Was this the only item that you were? I thought there were a couple of things you were.
It's check registers it's item number 2 and 3 on that consent, because they're two different time periods, January 1 through the 17th and January 18th through the 30th.
Okay.
So
Anyway, we can accept the motion, and then I'm sure that, like they said, they'll be willing to visit with you, and
sure.
so I don't see any conflict from their other, the what they just explained. But it's nice to work with the departments and make sure that everybody's on the same page. I like the idea, but anyway, so I'll accept the motion. Anyway, so I'll just stay neutral from that one. So
Okay, so,
Okay, so
we
we
have
just
a
need to
motion
vote.
on the table.
Yeah,
We have a
so we
motion,
just need to vote
yeah.
on the motion.
Are we going to vote?
yeah, we can vote.
Okay. Aye.
I
Favor to remove?
Okay.
Aye.
Now, continuing on.
Madam Chair, I'm going to make a motion to approve consent agenda items 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Motion to approve.
I'll make a second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. We all approve. Okay, Matt, we have recognition presentation and information item. We have a presentation by the emergency. Is that
Okay, yep, this one is the
Jeremy?
presentation on the standard operating guidelines for emergency medical services. So, Jeremy, this is all you.
Paul, thank you guys. I sent the document out quite a while ago. I hope you've had time to review it, and mostly I would just entertain answering any questions if you have any, and then request that it gets approved.
So give us the highlight of what it is you're changing.
What?
Why?
We're not changing anything. The worst part is we don't have anything right now that's written and been approved by the commissioners. So we drafted these operating guidelines that are in addition to and do not supersede the county's policies and procedures manual. So it is the top, these are the bottom, but it's very specific to our department. So it goes into different things about specific job descriptions and duties that we perform on the EMS side, an orientation program, their health and safety issues that maybe don't apply to everybody, a uniform policy, that says we want them to look professional, and we just don't have anything written down right now. It also goes into how we will respond to accidents, what are the responsibilities from them, how they can't take their personal vehicles or those types of things. That a lot of it's mostly just common sense, but we want a policy in place so that if, or heaven forbid, something were to happen, that it protects us on that side and also gives us the ability to work through any issues that come up. Goes through our operations, so how we're going to operate in an MCI, different things like that, our narcotics policy, how our narcotics are stored, distributed, and then accounted for with our medical director. Yeah.
I think it's I'm excited about this because it's always nice to have things written and make us look more professional.
That's
and
my
make
goal.
feel like it. I like what I saw, and I think it's one thing with procedures, they always can be updated, but it's nice to have something to start with. And it seems like since I started here, we have reviewed quite a few procedures, and so it's nice. It's hopefully eventually I'll have all the departments have a procedure systems where it's easy to have to refer to, and especially when we have new personnel that they can
Yes.
feel secure about what's appropriate and what's not.
Yep. Well, that became an issue. Like, we've had questions about, like, what are our requirements for our staff? How many shifts do they need to cover? And it's more than just numbers. Like, there's real science behind what we've tried to put in here when it comes to, for example, and we require a certain number of shifts per month from our staff and to attend trainings. There's not been anything in the past that's allowed us to say, like, you have to meet this standard or you can't participate in the organization, because we're talking about, potentially someone's life here. And we need to make sure that you're properly trained and that you're properly continuing to do the things necessary to stay at the top of your game. So,
things like that protects everyone.
yep.
Like having, sometimes it seems like we are being too strict, whatever, but it's for protection of the patient, protect other workers, and everybody. And so
Yeah, I mean, it's
And-
protection for the patient, the provider, and the county.
Yeah, for everybody, and it's a good thing as we made some changes that the more that we can improve makes it easy for us to feel like we are improving, and I appreciate this. I know it takes work, even going digging up information, because what happened when you're making changes, it goes, we used to do this, so we do it this way, and this way is
Yep.
it's for everybody.
Yep.
It's not who have been here the longest or whatever. It's just so I know that this takes time, and I appreciate your work. And
We appreciate you guys.
So I make a motion to accept the EMS operating guide.
do we make motion for this, Mac?
Yeah, you can.
We can make okay. We have a motion. Commissioner Harvey, you have a question or comment or on a second or
Commissioner Mon, what did you motion?
To accept the EMS operating guidelines. as
To
presented.
approve and accept?
Mhm.
Okay, I'll second that motion.
and so all in favor say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So now we're into the business action part of the agenda, and
Okay, item 13, you have the presentation of the October 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2024 financial statements. This one we have Peter. It's going to give us this presentation here.
So, yeah, thanks for having me here, Peter Brown, Chief Deputy Clerk Auditor. Going through this, sort of hopefully a new thing that we're going to be doing is just kind of walking through these. Even though it's a quarterly financial, I'll really be talking about it from a year-end standpoint. Just recognizing that these are still in draft form. They won't be fully in stone until we have our audit come April, May, June. And so we're still a little bit of a moving target, but we can kind of walk through it as to where we are. I think it's nice to be able to go through our year end and be able to sort of tell everybody where we're at. So I just recognize that when we do these budgets that the goal is to be a little conservative on what we think our revenues are going to be, and also be conservative in terms of knowing that we may have unanticipated expenditures. And so that reflected in the budget that we passed at the end of the year in December. And so we'll just kind of run through these, starting with the operating fund. Taxes are up $140K more than anticipated. Although we do expect to get some more tax revenue as we get those abatement sort of finalized. We will usually get another check to sort of round that out. I'm predicting somewhere between $100,000 to $200,000 more in tax revenue before we kind of close things out. Our intergovernmental revenues, we anticipated $1.27 million more to be spent than we are. And I'll kind of walk through why that is. Part of that relates to, we thought we might need to dip about $1 million into our LACTF fund, which, because of some of the increases in the benefits in our revenues and some of the abilities not to spend as much as we thought we were, that is likely not going to have to happen until this year, 2025.
So, Peter, where are you looking at? This is what we have.
So if you're looking at intergovernmental revenue on operating fund,
So this one is your total general fund.
Page 145, I think, or 146.
yeah, I didn't print out the whole entire thing. I'm just, if you want to just,
I was just trying to catch up.
Yeah.
with-
so intergovernmental revenue is that big long one right there. And I'm just kind of looking at it as at an overall. I'm not going into it line by line. I'm just saying, here's kind of why we think we were down
I
in
just
our,
wanted to catch
okay,
up with your discussion.
no problem.
I'll try to follow along with you.
No problem. The next piece of revenue is our contributions and transfers. We improved what we thought we were gonna. Well, yes, I'm sorry. We improved our revenue by $460,000, and that comes from our tax stability fund, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. Moving on to expenditures. If you go down just to the general government line, so if you scroll all the way down to the general government before you get to public safety, our expenditures were down $390,000 relative to budget. Part of that's related to an expectation of a legal defense line. We're going to probably still recognize that. That's our Navajo Nation settlement agreement money, which we haven't yet expensed for 2024. I don't have an invoice from them yet, and so
They never invoice or
just
just
have to-
settlement. We just
send them the check. Okay, so maybe
I can work on that.
so we just need to get that done so we can kind of close that out. Okay, that's the big one, and then we had some other big one was visitor services. We saved $70K, probably related to some grants that we thought we were going to have, but we didn't have in 24. Public safety, moving down to that line, if you go down to the very, very bottom there, overall expenditures were down $190,000 relative to budget. Every department was down between 10 to 50K, just cutting expenses, not spending as much as we anticipated. So that's reflecting there. Down to Parks and Rec, which is our fairs and our community events. Those were down $20,000 from anticipated budget.
That's clear up on top.
So what page are we? I'm trying to know.
We don't
156.
on our sheet. It doesn't show that same.
156.
It would just keep scrolling down. This is the
safety.
big detailed list, and so you're going to need to go down to where your fairs and
Because
your
I went down. So the fares are a line item.
Anyway, 156.
So here's your Parks and Rec. We just got done with public safety.
oh, maybe it would help if I drove the mouse. Do you want me to go up there and
Here, you can
do
have
it
the
from
mouse.
Polaris? Well, I can't see it from here. I'll come
I can
up.
blow it up for you. if you
Okay,
want.
yeah.
Or
If you
can blow it up.
can make that bigger, that might help.
Bigger.
So you can keep.
How's that?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, here you
So
go.
under that Parks and Rec, go ahead and scroll to the bottom of Parks and Rec there. So that's the end right there. That's what I'm talking about. So our Parks and Rec, our expenditures were down from what we thought we were going to be, about $20,000. So next one is our airports.
See,
so which-
and it switches. You go through.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry.
senior
Sorry, I
services.
skipped community and economic development. Sorry, I skipped
No,
that
you're
one.
skipping. That's what I'm trying to track with
So
you.
keep.
Do you want to run it? You
Yeah,
can run it. 'Cause
yeah.
You'll know where you're going to skip to.
I know where I'm at. So let's see. Community economic development here.
So it's senior. City.
Yeah, it's a very, very. It's all of this.
It's up closer.
So here's the line that I'm looking at right now. This is what I'm referencing, and our community and economic our community economic development was down $50,000 from anticipated budget. I didn't see any one thing that really kind of stood out. It's just kind of overall expenses being held down in all of those different programs there. Airports. I think I got to go back up for the airports, right?
You're right there. The airports. Total.
I'm there.
total
Okay.
airport.
Total airports were down 20,000 from anticipated budget. The next big one, and undistributed employee benefits, and this line right here is down 170,000 from anticipated budget. So just explaining, we talked about this a little bit before, but we didn't really know what our expenditures were going to be in 2024 because we had the combination of our PEHP bills and our carryover from our old Regents health carrier. And we had some bills in 2024. Those have now pretty much stopped. And so our 2025 will be what our baseline year for really establishing what our health benefits will be for our employees. Okay, final one on operating fund is transfers. That's down 143 or 140K from anticipated budget, but that's going to change a little bit because we're going to true some transfers up before the end of the year, particularly in EMS. So overall net income. So if you're just looking at our net income for our operational budget is up 330,000 from budget. Again, we do anticipate some more legal expenses as well as some more taxes coming in. And so I'm thinking it'll probably end up somewhere about $200,000 before our audit's done for operating fund. Okay. Any questions on operating fund? Is this useful, helpful? Okay. Roads. Does that say roads up there? We'll skip over the.
There's the road.
I think you just
the
want
road fund. is next.
Yeah. We're just going to go down to our revenues and expenditures here. Overall, we're $1.3 million better than anticipated on revenue. Taxes contributed to $130,000 of this improvement, and the remainder relates to the improvement in our PTIF fund. There was also some restructuring in the interest payments, and this goes to our tax stability discussion we'll have a little bit in a minute. We'd found out that, and this is over in the Treasurer's Department, they had found out that our interest payments, when we get interest in our Zion's Wealth Fund, they distribute them out to each department according to a formula. And Glenn's had found out, or Zion's had found out, one of the two had found out that we had been sending too much to the Roads Department and not enough to our Tax Stability Fund. And so they had trued that up in December. So that's what's reflecting, and that's why it's the roads is showing a little bit down on interest. Tax stability is going to show up, and then that gets transferred over into our operating fund. Going on to expenditures. Overall expenditures were down in roads 650K. Most of that related just to road maintenance. I don't know if they just didn't need it this year, or if there was, or if they had some other issues. But that's showing there as 410K. Overall, the net income for the roads department improves 1.97 million from budget, and roads money gets rolled in, so it rolls to savings so that we can use for future projects. Our MBA fund is steady. There are still some small adjustments need to be made, but it's not going to change a whole lot. Health fund. We're on the health. Here we go. Health fund. Our intergovernmental revenue is up $50,000. We were just trying to be conservative there. I think that's.
This is the public health department.
Yeah, sorry, public health department. And our expenditures were down $70,000 from anticipated. We had planned to take $105 from our prior year due to some uncertainty about how the budget would land, but I don't think we need to do that at this point. Overall, our net income for public health is up $10,000 from anticipated budget. Let's see, am I still on health fund here? We'll skip over that. Sorry, it's such a long report. It's just, we're going to try to get this one a little more easier to read. We've got a couple of different schedules we're looking at to hopefully make this a little more legible. There's just so much going in and out of the health fund. Let's just get down to the bottom so you can see what the net. Total change in net position. Yeah, we're going to be up $10,000 from budget. All right. What is our... Okay, so next one is our EMS fund. Our revenue that we project is down 100,000. Our fee performance was up, which is good, but we still, it's not a true 100,000 because we just haven't finished transferring the remainder from operating fund to cover our EMS budget. We're required to do that, and so we still have to finalize that before the audit. I'm just kind of waiting to see what kind of expenditures are rolling in January that were backdated to December. And so we're ready to, I think, do that. We're going to transfer about $65,000, which will cover and bring that revenue line up from 100,000 to like 35. Expenditures in our so there's the revenue line there. The expenditures were down $30,000 overall, and so our net income is down $70,000 from budget. But again, we'll be supplementing that. We'll be bringing about $65,000 over from the operating fund to plug most of that hole. The next one's the jail fund. It's really steady. It's just an in and out. Expenditures and revenue were down $20,000 from anticipated, but that all nets out at the bottom. Sorry, it's right there. CRA fund, really no change. I don't know why I haven't seen any actual movement in there. Is that just kind of?
So we just received this month the information from the tax commission, and so
Okay.
you'll see movement in this.
Perfect. Great.
The rollback. We still owe him his payment.
Okay. Capital projects fund. Let's go down to the revenues and expenditures. You're going to see some changes here. We budgeted certain things thinking we were going to see them recognized in the end of the year, but we're rolling most of this over to 2025. We're going to be releasing our ARPA funds and our EMP funds. I haven't done that yet. It's still one of the things I've got to do for year end, and that will bring that up some. That'll be $1.6 million when that gets released. Expenditures for our capital projects were down $1.26 million. This is really related to timing. These expenditures will roll into next year as projects are completed. This is a fund that can roll from year to year. And so the net result of that is our capital projects fund is down $2.696 million. But again, you'll see that revenue side come up as we release those funds, and then and again, that just rolls over to whatever we didn't spend this year, we'll spend next year. All right, so next one is our road capital fund. There's really not a lot of change in this one. You can see our net position there. So just a
landfill.
couple thousand. Oh, is that landfill?
Yeah,
I need new glasses.
I know.
There we are.
Can
Sorry.
make it bigger if you need to. See the 130.
Yeah. I can see it. All right.
So the way that we treat this fund is they receive the road funds and we stick it in the capital fund, and then take out of it whatever we need for operational and if we have a project. Road funds is one of those you can also allow to build, obviously because of the cost of roads. If you're $1 million a mile, it's kind of the theorem. It takes a lot of capital funds to do an actual road. So this is typically just an in and out.
Landfill. Our landfill fund, there's a couple of things to note on it. That's a little bit different because it's an enterprise fund. So there's operating revenue and there's non-operating revenue. So it reads a little bit differently. Our operating revenue we predicted pretty much spot on. It's a few $100 really. Our non-operating went up $10,000 because of interest payments that we received. Our operating expenditures were down $60,000 from budget. the result being for year end will be that we're going to be up $60,000 from budget.
There it is, the financial statement that you just went through.
Okay. I just realized that,
Balance sheet was first.
yeah. So there's the landfill. Okay. Up 60,000 from budget. And I realize this doesn't, it's part of the, one of the challenges is this reading year to date, or is it,
Tort liability.
is it only reading, sorry, is it reading real year to date, or is it reading only 3 months worth?
It should be 3 months. the
Okay.
quarter, final quarter.
Okay. I mean, that's what we have to present. I'm presenting a year to date, so it might not be it might not, you might not see exactly what I'm seeing, and I can, okay. Tort liability fund. We're not going to see a lot of changes in that from budget. Both revenue and expenditures are down $10,000 there. Our, as you can see there, going down to our tax stability fund. This is, again, and I've already talked about this, but this is just showing you where that true up happened with our interest payments and how they came in a lot more than what we anticipated current versus what we predicted. And that gets recognized over, it gets pulled over into the operating fund essentially to help shore us up there. That's not going to continue, by the way. And now that it's all trued up, we're going to go back to more of a normal sort of, it'll be a little bit higher. We took a big lump sum from what had been in arrears. And so that's going to be remaining steady now. It's just going to be a little bit higher. Okay, final one is the library.
That's yours on stability.
Yep, we're going down here. There we go. Okay, our library fund. Let's get down to the expenditures. Library taxes are right now we're showing 20,000 down from anticipated, but again, when we get that final tax payment, that's going to come up to some extent. I think it'll actually close the gap, and then we'll be closer to what we had predicted. Our expenditures are down $20,000 from budget as well. So it's just going to sort of remain steady. We won't see a lot of changes other than the net income might go up a little bit from those taxes. So there we are. That's sort of my read on it. As far as where our budget is overall, we're in pretty good shape for 2024. A lot better than we anticipated. Any questions or?
I just want to make a comment regarding the library. I don't know, I thought maybe the librarian was here. We did purchase some computers for Montezuma Creek, but we get in a reimbursement from the NRF fund. And what happened, there was a misunderstanding and the bill was sent to somebody else. And so now they're cutting a new bill.
Okay.
The money will come and it'll be added to the
Okay.
funds.
We'll just make sure we'll have to put that in 24 then, right? Because it was spent in 24. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's one reason why, again, this is just a working,
Yeah.
it's still a working document. We're still making some changes. It won't be finalized until we actually get closer to audit season. So.
This document is required by the state. We'll be putting it in the commission packet every quarter.
Okay.
And commission will have the opportunity to ask any questions about it. I asked Peter to present because he's so closely attuned to the accounting conventions that we're required to follow in presentation and flows between each different budget and then our actual budget. So this is really good transparency. And so we want you to know that if you have any questions on this document or future quarterly documents, our doors are always open, and we'll answer them as well as we can, even in public meetings.
Any
even in
question?
sessions.
Anybody have question for?
So,
Peter?
this is a business action item. Does it have to be approved today? Is it
I don't know.
timely?
far as we know, it just needs to be
Presented.
presented in a commission meeting for the commission to review and ask questions about.
Okay, because we didn't get packets until Sunday night at like 10:30, so I have clearly not had sufficient time to look through this budget. So if it's not a timely matter, I would prefer not to take an action item on this, but if we don't even need one,
You don't know.
then we can just have the information and continue to review it. I need more time to review this.
This one, the one that
So-
you're going to want to pay attention to more is the quarterly ones that we get.
Yeah.
Because those will be your detailed expenditures of the departments for those 3 months. And so those ones are the critical. These ones here, the funds have already been expensed
Right.
from last year. And what he's mentioned is typically you'll have, going back to your first questions on the check registers, we will get invoices that, like the computers that had actually been purchased in December, that haven't been realized yet for last year's budget. And so we'll still make changes to the 2024 accounting on there. And so Peter's gone through, and there's enough residual funds in
Right.
these accounts to cover those. And so really he's just giving you that update. There's really nothing in here that you would change. We presented the final budget in a public hearing in December,
Right.
and that was adopted in December. And so that's already been approved and gone out the door. Now it's really just making sure that you guys are aware of where we're at.
So yeah, I'd rather
financially.
have this more of an information item than an action item, if that's
And that was,
okay.
we
So
can
that-
move it.
Yeah.
We can move it up to recognitions.
Okay.
And you're welcome to take any of the stuff on the packet.
Okay. But I don't know how Commissioner
It's really
Harvey
just
feels. I don't
approving the
know if you
report.
want it.
You probably have some questions too or comments on.
No, I value the review because it highlights our standing. Maybe a month to month sort of follow up kind of thing. What I wanted to ask was actually in the 21B Road Fund under the Intergovernmental Revenue section. And
What page you on?
I'm on page 162 of our packet, and I'm looking at line item 3389000 and also line item number 3383000. So one is the Navajo tribe line item under intergovernmental revenue, and the other one is BIA maintenance under intergovernmental revenue. So my question is, line item 3389000, is that where?
We've got the general fund up and you're.
Oh. Well, I can answer the question if he's on. I know that. So they budgeted for the revenue from those two agencies to come in. I know that revenue's been delayed, and they're nervous that they're not going to get it, or it's just really super delayed in getting it. We've had some issues with both receiving revenue from the Navajo Nation and paying bills to the Navajo Nation. On both sides, and so it's there. We hope we get it in. We maybe can take some steps to contact them to remind them. I can work with Jackie on that over at the roads department, see what we can do to.
TJ's right behind
Oh.
you. Yeah. He's made attempts
Mm-hmm.
as
Yeah.
well. Hey, TJ.
So that number
Yeah.
is the contracted amount per year. And so that's not the overall amount that we're owed, that's just what the yearly contracted amount from each agency is. If they were to pay every year, that's what the contracted amount is on them two line items.
Very good.
So when we build our budgets, when you look at that original budget line item, we anticipated that revenue coming in. But when you look at the current year actual, you see zero has come in for that. And so and you'll see it in all of the other funds as well. There's this anticipated revenue, whether it's grant funds or whatever the case is. But if we don't receive it during that year, then those amounts are zero. That's what we actually received. And so on the bottom, when you look at revenue versus expenses, that's taken out of there because we didn't receive it as actual revenue.
So they cancel the contract. We have that in writing that their contract is canceled. We don't have that in writing
Nope.
because we're gonna get lots of phone calls when I get lots of emails and phone calls. The roads are not clean. The roads are this or whatever. But anyway, so it's kind of interesting. So we send them money. Can we deduct from what money we send to them?
We wondered that. I mean, we have the $200,000 for the settlement payment that goes to them.
So
It's like, well, maybe we do that,
Well, I don't
but
think
you
we
don't
can
want to
mess with that.
default on a settlement payment.
No.
So it's like we
So-
don't want to play that game.
so what number? What number? How much are we talking about?
Between the two agencies, we're about 1.5 million.
Okay. So
Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I just want to make a comment in defense of why the pack was late. Me and Mac were working on a very complicated decision we needed to make, and so that's the reason why the packet was late. And anyway, so
We'll try harder to get them out on Friday. So,
I only had
Yeah.
one day yesterday,
Yeah.
plus a million other meetings going on, so
Absolutely.
I just couldn't get through
especially during the
everything.
legislative session, and that's hard.
Well, when there's 375 pages,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
hard to get through in one day.
It's a
So
book.
I know I got 2 hours sleep. So anyway, but so let's see.
Okay, item number 14. Let's see, I need the mouse. Get that back.
So
And I'll get
Mike,
to it. So this item number 14 is consideration and approval of the disease response evaluation analysis and monitoring
hi, Mike.
2024 San Juan County Health Department contract between the Utah Department of Health and Human Services and San Juan County. We have Mike, our interim director, presenting here
Hello.
today. Mike, welcome.
Thank you. My voice is struggling a little bit, but hopefully you
So
can hear me.
Just get a little closer to you.
So yeah, thank you for having me here today. Like Max said, I'm the interim director for the health department, and I'm here seeking your approval for this contract, which provides cross-cutting epidemiology and outbreak response capacity for infectious diseases, working with the state Department of Health and Human Services with investigating, preventing diseases, or collecting specimens if necessary, things like that. Yeah, I'm wondering if you have any questions or.
I'm sorry, I just needed to turn off my phone.
I don't have any questions.
Mike, is this an annual contract or how long is this grant for?
This is for 1 year.
1 year?
It's
Well,
it's
let's
a
see. This one goes. The service period of the contract is from November 2024 through July of 2029.
oh yeah, I missed that part. So that's
Okay.
awesome.
No, that's fine. I'll help you.
But yeah, we normally have this contract instead of doing amendments. Well, we just reached the end of the previous. I think it was a 5-year term in September, I believe, and so yeah, this is just renewing it.
Just continuing.
Yeah.
And the staff that have been running it are gonna still.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Only thing I would say is on that contractor contact, we need to change that contact person.
Yeah.
Grants on there.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've notified everyone at the state about that, and they
One
said
of
just
the-
moving forward they'll start changing that name.
Okay.
One of the comments I have is in all these contracts we're trying to sign, and that's our work. We need to change the chairperson, Commissioner Harvey.
Yep.
He would be
Yeah.
willing
I
to
just saw
sign it,
that.
but I don't know if he wants the responsibility.
Oh, so
Anyway.
it's you now, Sylvia?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
So we'll take care of that with Rosa, take care of that. But all the contracts we have coming, we need to make sure we change that.
Okay, I'll pass that
Do you
information
have any
on.
questions for us?
No, I don't. Not yet.
Not yet.
Thank you.
That's good. So far, we are doing good. Anyway, I appreciate this and
Motion.
all you do. So we have a motion.
Motion
Thank
to approve
We
5-year
have a
contract.
motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 The motion passed unanimously.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Good job. Okay, item number 15 is consideration and approval of the 2025 interlocal agreement between Blanding City and San Juan County for support of the Blanding Senior Citizens Center. Tammy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So this is a new agreement. It has been a long time coming. I'm not sure how long you've had this on your table at Blanding, but
Maybe since August. Yeah.
it's been about almost a year. So Commissioner Stubbs and I met with Blanding City in September, and then Commissioner Mon and I met the first part of this month and went over this agreement. And we feel like it would be a good thing for both sides to pursue this interlocal agreement. So it is for $2,000 from the city of Blanding to help supplement activities at the senior center.
So this is for last year and this year?
It will be for this year. We have,
For this year.
yeah, we we will have to find somebody that will do it. When we met with the city of Blanding, we showed them like a proposal of what we thought, like 12 months worth of activities. So we'll need to find somebody that will do the activity and then start implementing the activities. So
Okay. Thank you. Thank you to the city of Blanding, and it's nice to have got to this point and making things happening. Thank you so much for all you do. I mean, we have worked this since day one, and you have been so good at what you did. I appreciate that. It was an easy job, and so I appreciate that. And so, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the interlocal agreement between Blanding City and San Juan County for support of the Blanding Senior Citizens Center.
We have a second.
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 thank you very
so
much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tammy. Okay, this next item is consideration and approval of award to Premier Truck Group Freightliner of Utah for the Freightliner 114 SD bids. This is Jed Tate, our landfill operator.
How you doing?
Jed.
Good to be here.
Hello, how are you?
Good. There is some new information that has been brought to light on these bid proposals. I don't know if TJ got this information or not either, but Freightliner, not Freightliner, but Peterbilt contacted me just Monday morning and said that the Peterbilt has put out new government pricing. With that, I brought a copy of that for each one.
Thank you.
This agenda has lots of trucking, so I learned a lot about trucking. The only thing I don't worry is because you guys both have money.
So primarily what the difference is Peterbilt has come down about $10,000 on their truck, which still has them higher than the proposed truck from Freightliner. However, with that, I've asked each one of these entities also to give us the time and date that they could build the truck for us. The build date for Freightliner is not until September of this next year. The build date for Peterbilt is 30 days. So from the date we put our order in, Peterbilt will begin the build in 30 days.
I have a question.
Yes.
Does any of them have more connection to San Juan County where we can keep some of the money in the county?
Pardon?
Any of those companies have, I know we had to go buy outside San Juan County.
They have connection with the state, but not the county. There's no truck dealers within our county
I
anywhere.
knew that, but I just
So-
wondered if it was something that we had done business before.
Not that I'm aware of. As far as doing business with them before, I would think we've bought and purchased Peterbilts before, yes.
Okay.
That's the other part of this that I want to present is that with Freightliner, you have to have software. Our road department is who does our repairs, has to have software to be able to read and talk to the truck. We already have software at our road departments that will talk to Peterbilt's and Kenworth's. And I think recently we got some Macs and probably have some software for that. But we don't have any Freightliners in place. And so we'd have to acquire software for that as well. And with that in mind, the fact that also TJ is proposing to get a couple of Peterbilts as well, so you'd have a more uniform fleet that way that we're working on. I'm proposing that maybe we reconsider, instead of the Freightliner, due to the build dates, I can get the Peterbilt here almost 8 months prior to having the Freightliner show up. So I'd reconsider to go with the Jackson Group and the Peterbilt pricing, which is $139,981. And whereas I would love to save the money and go with the 129 because that helps me further down the line. But at the same time, I'd like to get the truck working in here as well. With that in mind, I've also contacted Freightliner this morning and told him, this is how we're thinking. And he asked me to give him a 2 to 5 day window to where he could get me a sooner build date. And I said, well, if you can get an earlier build date, then we would consider that. So I'd like maybe to have the proposal to be able to accept either one of those if they can move their build date up. If they can't move their build date up, then I would like to stay with the Peterbilt.
But in the long run, is it going to be? I mean, I know it's 10,000. Even if this company, Freightliner, came back and said, "Yeah, we can move the build date up," is it going to be more cost effective to go with a Peterbilt in the long run because of what we have with the county, the diagnostic?
Probably.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking
For diagnostic ways, it probably would be.
Sure.
The other part of that is in the industry of trucks. It's pretty commonly known that the Peterbilts and Kenworths are probably a little bit higher quality truck.
Right.
And I mean, I think I've been in the trucking industry long enough to know that a lot of them make very similar equipment. And I've had experience with the Freightliners. I'm not opposed to using their equipment. I think it's good equipment too. But the industry overall standard suggests that the Peterbilts and Kenworths are a little bit higher standard.
So I think in the long run, we'll probably
Yeah.
be better.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
That's why I'm changing the proposal this morning to
Right.
recommend the Peterbilt.
Especially when we have other trucks are going to be, part of maintenance.
And that would be helpful to both of
Yeah,
us because we'd
yeah.
have similar trucks.
Yeah,
The county would
Right.
probably keep some parts around for those trucks.
yeah,
And so when I go to get an oil change, they'd already have the filters in stock,
yeah.
things like that.
Anyway, so
So that's my proposal this morning is to get approval for the truck, but to change from the Freightliner to the Peterbilt.
any more questions?
Motion to approve for Peterbilt in the amount of $139,981.
I'll second that.
You have a second? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Good catch.
Well, you have to tell us what you're going to do with those trucks for fun.
That's going to be our lift truck that we haul containers with.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's just an upgraded version. We'll keep the Kenworth that we have in place still as our backup truck for when we have a breakdown or something goes on. And some days we have enough going on, we have to haul containers in two places. So we'd still keep that one in service too. But the equipment we're transferring is from our old Volvo truck that we have a lift on it that came off of the wrecked Peterbilt that got wrecked, I don't know, long before I was here. So I'm not sure how long ago that was.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. You bet.
Okay, so
Thanks, Shed. So the next one, item 17.
they are the two people I was going with smile because they have money in their pocket.
Consideration and approval to purchase and replace two 1996 day cab transport trucks. DJ.
Okay, so yeah, Jed called me this morning after he looked at mine. He's like, "What's the deal?" And so on the thing on if it costs him, so where we have so many trucks in the fleet on our programs, a lot of them cost us around $4,000 a year for the software upgrades. Well, if he were to get a truck that we don't have, he would have to pay for that software all by himself, where we absorb it because we have so many. So he'll pay for his software in a couple of years if he goes to the Peterbilt. So that's what we're doing. We've got a couple of 1996 trucks that are just wore out. Can't find parts for them. And so that's what we want to do. Now we have Macs and we have Peterbilts, and the Mac was the cheaper price, but they were a year out. And that's what I was telling Jed this morning, is that the Peterbilt can get us right in and get us built. And so the last time we had a year out thing, the price jumped up on us and we had a fiasco. So that's what we want to do. And the other reason is because the Peterbilt actually has a 20,000 pound front axle. The other trucks are between 13.5, 14.5, and on our county roads where we're not on the highway, they hold up better when it's a stiffer axle, even though it's a little rougher, but they hold up better. So that's what my proposal is, to buy two of these trucks, and then we'll surplus the two, so we'll get a little bit of money back.
Thank you for bringing this before us. And I did talk to some of you guys, and I asked them that they're waiting for snow, and they said they have been doing lots of maintenance and lots of wonderful things, and they hope that we just get lots of snow in the mountain. And I agree with them, because we have to travel to the last year we traveled in the road, sometimes the only ones on the road, going to Salt Lake City every week. Anyway, anybody have questions? So
No questions. Motion to approve for Peterbilt.
I'll second that.
all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. So
Thank you.
thank you so much. And
Thank you.
thank you for what you do, and keep
Tell your-
smiling.
Tell your staff thanks. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, item number 18 on your agenda is consideration and approval of a letter of support for the 2024 project grant application for the San Juan and Paiute County Drainage Resilient Planning Study to the U.S. Secretary of Transportation. This is a request of support from UDOT. Talia is here to present this, our Economic Development Manager. Talia.
I like this kind of project.
Yeah, this one's
When
an
they
easy
say
one.
that cannot cost us any money.
That's right. They just reached out. They asked for a letter of support as they're going to go and do their project to see how they can improve the roads for us, specifically for erosion on State Route 211, which has affected us. So when their roads close down, it affects our tourism, our ability to go in and out. And that's all it's asking for, is just a letter of support as they go and seek out that grant.
And I like because of that, and also because you are partnered with other counties, and that's always nice to have partnerships with
Yeah.
small counties.
Yeah, I'm really grateful. We have great counties that are, they've actually been great at mentoring me in my new role too. So I'll call and ask them for help a lot.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I appreciate them.
appreciate that. So
So I'll make a motion to accept the 2025 letter of support for the protection grant application.
okay, and this one I don't know if we have you have a letter that we have to sign.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's attached
It's
in there.
it's
Mhm.
in
Okay,
the-
so
Rosa will have it already.
yeah, I just wasn't sure. There's some things I keep checking the signature of the commission. Could you have?
And you're there.
So
Yep,
Thank
I've
you.
dated it.
thank you, Talia.
Uh-huh, thank you.
Muchísimas gracias.
So we have a motion. We need a.
Okay, we
Need a
have a
second.
motion,
I'll second.
and all in favor say aye.
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 Okay. On to the next one. Let's see. Consideration and approval of a resolution opposing continued presidential abuse of the 1906 Preservation of American Antiquities Act. This one we have Nick presenting for Public Lands.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Well, several counties in Utah, as well as across the West, are passing some resolutions that would support Representative Malloy's efforts, her legislative proposal, which would reform the Antiquities Act so that the president couldn't use unilateral authority in monument designation. And that monument designation would have to be a congressional action. Congress would have to approve that. So the attached resolution before you states San Juan County's opposition to this unilateral authority that the president has to designate national monuments, and calls on Congress to repeal the act, or at a minimum to remove this unilateral presidential discretion for monument designation, and require that designation proposals go through Congress with the support of state and local governments. So that's basically the resolution that is before you for your consideration this afternoon.
Okay. We had the opportunity to talk to Congresswoman Malloy, and she is very optimistic about the things that could be happening. And she just told us, send your wish list and all, all the things. And we are depend a lot on federal grants and things like that. So we're trying to figure out how we do the balance act and things. And I appreciate you working on this, and we are planning to be able to work with her. Also, we visited with Congressman Kennedy, and he gonna come to the area and visit, and I hope you'll be available maybe to ask him some questions. This will be first time coming to our county, and so we wanna. And the last time I visited with him, we was thinking about maybe in late March or something like that.
I see.
He come over.
March 24th. I think is
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, so
anticipated.
but anyway, so anybody have questions or comments or
No, but this is a great direction to head.
yeah.
Very
It
good
is.
direction. So
Yeah,
thank you.
it is. And I think all the committees she's in is kind of like lining up for the planets. I mean, she has so many committees, and that she will be available to assist us, and all these wonderful things can happen for us to be able to have what to say about the lands, in our area. So anyway, any motion? Guys wanna?
I'll make a motion to approve. That's what I'm approving. The consideration and approval of the resolution opposing the continued presidential abuse of the 1906 Antiquities Act.
No second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank
Okay,
you.
thank
Thank
you.
you so much for all you do for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next one on here, item 20, consideration and approval of a contract between San Juan County and Ben Tomco for building inspection services. This one we had Kristen Bushnell, planning administrator, or Mitch Mon,
They're not
our
here.
county attorney, presenting, and they're not here for these next two, so I don't know if you want to table it. I know that there is a concern with, now that our building inspector is no longer
Well-
here, do need to contract it out. We do have the contract with Jones and DeMille that is still in place, that in alerts that we could contact Jones and DeMille for the inspections.
If I may ask a question on this, so I do know that, and I spoke to Kristen about this. So we don't have their contracts attached,
No.
because one thing is we need to assign, most likely, Mr. Tomco to be. Let me find my wording on it. As the local building authority for because that is in conjunction with our hospital construction. With that grant, with that money coming in, that was specifically, someone has to be specifically named. So
I know, but can they come and present that to us? You know what I mean?
no,
So we
I
can ask
agree.
questions.
So that's what I'm saying. I wonder where that
And so,
contract is.
with the item number 21, it's not, okay, Ben is finishing work this week. And so he's going to the sheriff department. He had to be gone for 2 months and training for the.
Yeah.
So
whatever
in the
post is.
meantime, okay, so he just finished working, so it's only have been a few days, and we had nothing on the number 21 on the person. There's no contract, there's nothing. So I think in the meantime, we have a contract with Johnson the Mills that they can assist us if we need to. Lots of departments wait a long time to get in line for things we need to do. And so they are not here to present. So I don't know what we do with number 20. Item 20, I think that we have visited, Mark and I have visited about that. And we were planning to do something like that. But number 21 is something that is just put on the agenda. We don't know anything.
If we may, can we just
so you
continue on through the agenda and then see if they come like the very end?
Mm-hmm.
We
Can
can
we just
do
continue
that.
and then we can see what
Yeah,
to
the
do with
only-
them after?
Yeah,
The
the only
other-
thing.
Okay,
Yeah, there is an
let's do
option
that.
in policy where if you table the items and authorize me to sign the contracts when they're finalized, then
I would like to be. I would like
But
to
if
be
you
part
want to
of that.
see them first,
I would like to see them first.
okay, then you would
So-
want to. We can hold and
Let's
See
just,
what to-
if we can just move through our
you only have
agenda.
two more
if
items
you
on there.
mind, if we just move through and then see if they come.
Yep.
Okay, then we make a motion that we go to
Just go to the next one.
number 22.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. You want a motion? Did you make the motion? We
No,
don't
I'm not
make
making a motion. I'm just saying let's just move down
We
the
just
agenda.
decide
and
that.
then
We can
come
take
up.
number
Yeah.
22.
So we don't need a motion for that?
Mm-mm.
Item. So
Okay.
on item 22, let me
Okay.
jump up to the top.
Let me see if she-
Let's just let them come. We don't have to tell them to come.
So item 22 is consideration and approval of the Halls Crossing pavement maintenance agreement between San Juan County and American Road Incorporated. Last month you had approved the notice of award. These were this entity was the lowest bid on the project. This is really to recondition the asphalt out on the airstrip after the project took place out there. Get these guys in here to help us out. So the total cost of the contract is $141,100. 95% is funded by the FFA and UDOT. UDOT takes 5%, and then we come up with a 5. There is an option on here where we can also use in-kind services, where the road department could come in and crack seal to cover our 5% of this total. Other than that, it's letting the contractor go to work.
So anybody have question about that, or do you want a motion? So it's that's not take any money from us if we can do in kind.
If we can do on kind as much as we can.
Okay.
Yep.
Motion to approve.
Make motion to.
I'll second.
A second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Number 23.
Okay. On to 23, consideration and approval of a letter to the U.S. Department of Interior and Bureau of Land Management requesting reauthorization of the existing trail, and it's titled in the documents as Trail 1. And I put the coordinates on here just in case there's any confusion.
Okay.
Yes. Sorry, I grew up in Kanab, so words take me a minute. Yeah. And so with that, Commissioner Mon had requested to put this on the agenda to have the discussion of of what we want to do with this. And I know Nick has received this information as well and is going through it.
Yeah, so Mr. Josh Nielsen reached out to me and gave me a brief synopsis. With my limited knowledge on this, I referred him back to Mr. Sandberg. And so if you just want to come and tell us what you kind of spoke to me about, that would be great.
Thank you, Commission. My name is Josh Nielsen from Blanding. I own Sunrise Outfitting, which is a scenic adventure tour company. We do for primarily side-by-side tours, but a lot of stuff. So this, I've come to Commissioner Mon with this particular letter as well as another project that I'd like to discuss as well. But this letter is basically, I've been working with the BLM for over 2 years trying to get them to either approve or deny this trail, whatever the case may be, so that we know how to move forward. But they keep saying bears ears at that, whatever. Last time we talked to them, they said, well, we can't do anything because it's probably going to state. The SITLA, anyway, that trade fell through, and so now we're going to represent it to them, and we're just hoping to have more support behind us than just our business. Blanding City has signed a letter similar to what has been formatted here, but for your information, what the trail is Trail 1 is a trail that makes a loop around San Juan County. It's about 360 miles. Continuous loop that connects all corners of San Juan County. However, there's really no origination, well, unless you go the other direction. But anyway, if you go clockwise, there's really no origination. It just kind of, you have Blanding, and then you have Westwater, where there's no trail, and then it starts once you get over into Warren Allen, and then it makes the loop and ends back at the visitor center. If you actually look physically, there is an existing trail on the map. You can see it on satellite maps, or if you walk it, it's still there physically. There's been a bridge built. There's been rocks blasted. There's signage from the BLM marking it as Trail 1. It connects from Ruin Road across to Westwater Point, crossing Westwater. It's only about an 800-yard trail as the crow flies. Obviously it zigzags, but not very far distance. Once you get to the Westwater Point bladed road, it becomes an authorized trail and crosses Big Canyon. My understanding is it was abandoned because from Blanding to Westwater was technical back in the four-wheeler days, and it is. However, the technical part is Big Canyon, which is still approved and authorized. Crossing Westwater is actually very.
When you say West Waters, you had to go in the middle of this. In the middle.
Well, there's the community of Westwater, but there's a County B road that runs.
But you don't go through the community.
No.
Okay.
And there's actually other things with that question as well. There is a separate trail that a lot of people are using that comes from the college.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go from the college across to that same road.
Mm-hmm.
However, that does, if you're on a side-by-side, that does come out into the community, and we want to avoid that, as well as where it originates at the college. That's private as well. So without using the bladed road, there's no trail that originates this loop. And so it's there physically, and all this letter is basically asking the BLM to reapprove it. At one point it was approved. It was not on the maps because of it was never unapproved. They never said this crosses archaeology. It was never taken away. It just wasn't put on a map. So we just want to be able to use it legally without having issues. Anyway, there is if they do approve it, there is one rock that we would like to come back to the county and ask the road maintenance to take their rock pounder and break it. When it was originally built, it was built for ATVs. And so the bridge is still there, the trail is still there. You can still use an ATV on it terrifically, but there is one rock it's about 12 inches high. It's big. It's big enough that you couldn't break it with a sledgehammer. But
is that it in the picture?
Go down that picture, that one. You can see that picture there. So if you try to put your tire on there, I won't admit how I know this, but if you try and put your tire on there, the top of your machine runs into the rock on the left. And so that rock does need to be moved for this to be usable. So the request we have today is for a signature on this letter so we can go to the BLM and ask them to move forward with this project, give us authorization. There's a lot of pros to it. I see very little cons, but I'm an off-road enthusiast, so that's my perspective. But then with that, we'd like to see a maintenance project done to kind of clean this trail up, clean the trail across Big Water, Big Canyon, clean that one up a little bit. That's pretty technical still, but it's passable. We ride it all the time.
Did they keep the reason why they closed it to start with?
It wasn't ever closed. It was just never
so it's just need
on
to
there.
agree.
Right. So back in the 90s, 80s, 90s, when everything was open riding, it was signed and unofficially approved as Trail 1. It's got BLM signs on it that are faded and gone. But it was never, as we moved into the travel planning era that we currently live in, it was never put on a map.
Okay, so basically being recognized as being a trail. One of the things is, money for trails is everywhere. I mean, there's lots of grants out there. And if it can be accepted as a trail, there will be funds available to come and repair and market and I think sounds like a really nice endeavor,
I concur. That's the first step of this process. So the other conversation that I'd like to have with you guys comes to that is there are grants open right now. And I don't know if this is appropriate to talk about now. It's not really on here, but with the grants open and with Bears Ears being signed, the ROD being signed, but looking forward to when they have a travel management period. I as a side-by-side recreationalist want to be in front of them instead of behind them. I would love to have an inventory of all the trails, of all the B roads, of all the C roads, and I know they're all mapped, and you guys probably have better spreadsheets than I do, but I've put them all in spreadsheets, and basically I would like to go out and drive them all and say, this one's passable, this one's not, request maintenance here, request maintenance there, this one's never used, this one's used all the time. And so if they come to a travel period and they say, well, we don't need this road, well, we already have documentation. And with the grants that are open right now, we can do it without county funds. We just need somebody to ride it. And I know Mr. Sandberg and I have visited about this. I don't know where he's got to it on it, but we could, I'm trying to do it myself, but it's very time and expensive consuming. I would love to see that open up for a contract for somebody to do that. And I don't know if this letter here was, I only have one copy, but was put into your minutes. But basically it's a request that we use that grant funds to have somebody itemize and list those roads. But as far as this trail goes, yes, there are always grants available for that.
And like I said, there's a lot. I have been working with a private owner of property trying to develop trails, and we have gone. He had lots and lots of property in the county, and so we know there's lots of money available. We just have to figure out a way how to set up, and there's probably different step where the money is going to go. So if you have to be if it's not the county, is it a foundation or whatever? It's different ways, and we have somebody very valuable like Talia. She knows a lot about grants and things like that, but I think they're a wonderful opportunity right now with grants and lots of the thing within the county, are on hold right now, kind of thing, to see what is decided. But anyway, I support any idea that would, I think that would bring people to the county, and it'd be good for locals too to be able to go. And so you're thinking about motorized kind of ride or hiking? The people used to hike it too, or
Well, there's any trail that's open to motorized use is also open to
okay, it's
bicycle
okay.
and hiking.
Okay.
And when every time I've gone out there to take pictures of it, to explore it, to see what we can do, there's always footprints on it, bicycle tracks on it. So it's still being used, but it is, without it being approved, that you don't see a lot of motorized tracks on it. There's some, but we don't admit to that. Anyway, but it does need some maintenance because it's been 20 years since it's been on the list and marked as part of the trails, but we would love to see that changed.
So I'll make a motion to approve, and then I guess I would also request that with the grant you explore that more, and which I think you have explored that, but maybe start pursuing that, and then you come back with that. Does that make sense? I mean, what's the best way to do that?
So the grant has to come from either a government entity such as the city or the county, or a nonprofit.
So would you be willing to work with Talia's office back there with economic development and Nick Sandberg?
Yeah, we can certainly do that.
Yeah.
So I guess that would be the direction along with the motion. So, okay.
Yeah, we just basically need somebody to
I know I
fill out
just
the
got
application.
a whole pamphlet, grants opportunity kind of thing too. So it's just, but thank you. And so we have a motion.
I'll second the motion.
You have a motion, second. Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thanks for your
all
work.
you do. I mean, you do so much.
So is the letter
It's good to go.
is going to be signed and
Yeah.
returned with the
Yeah,
signature.
thank you.
Okay.
Whose signatures did you need on that?
I guess the commission chair.
We should make copies, and
I
you can
believe
give it
it's-
to Rosa.
Rosa
in the
will have
packet.
it printed.
You can give it to Rosa. She'll make a copy, and I'll sign it.
Okay.
So we can
Thank
have
you.
a record of it. Thank you so much, Ashley.
Thank you.
Okay, so
Okay, now we are, so in sequence, you took out the consent agenda item 2 and 3. Did you want to
I
make
don't-
a motion to table those or approve?
No, well, okay. I make a motion to approve those.
to approve what?
Items number
The
2 and 3
two
of the
items that I
consent.
took out on the consent agenda, and then I'll make a motion to approve as they have been paid. But then I will also work with
Yes, Peter and
Peter and Lyman Duncan's office to work through what I found, some issues, and hopefully we can clarify some systems. Okay.
Okay,
So that's my motion.
so we have a motion for that. And have a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor say aye.
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 Okay, now going back up to item
We have Kristen here.
20.
Mitch is here.
Just came in. So consideration and approval of a contract between San Juan County and Ben Tomco for building inspection services.
Sorry, guys, this agreement didn't make it into the agenda, but I emailed it to each of you. As you know, Ben Tomco, who was the local building,
So when did you email it to us?
to each of your email addresses.
Just when?
Early this morning.
Yeah, but we were here meeting, so I haven't seen anything yet. But
Okay,
anyway,
well, here's the top. It's very simple. Our building inspector quit and went to work for the sheriff's office, which is
yeah, we were aware of that.
is problematic because we've gotten building inspections that are going on that need to be going on. You know, there can't be a lot of interruption in those services. So we worked out an agreement with building inspectors obviously have to be licensed and have a skill set. They're very limited in that here in the county with the types of persons that can do that. We've worked out an agreement with Ben Tomko, even though he's working for the sheriff's office, which those shifts are usually 5 days on and 5 days off, that he would still handle all the building inspections as an independent contractor, working under the supervision and oversight of Kristen Bushnell in her department. So in this contract just basically says that he will provide all of the building inspections as needed. That if he can't get to a certain building inspection within 3 days, then we have a secondary person to do that, Corey Coleman, who is also licensed and has the requisite skill set to do that. So the idea is that they will work directly with, they will receive these building inspection requests. They'll go out and inspect. They will charge the customer for that. So San Juan County is not involved in any of that. Basically it's a break-even thing, so it doesn't cost us anything. I think there will be a small administrative fee that goes to the county just for the oversight, but not really a revenue producing thing.
Explain that again to me. It's not going to be any charge, so who's going to be paying for that?
So if a developer needs something inspected, or a homeowner needs something inspected, they call up. A schedule of fees is worked out between Kristen and Ben Tomko that is equivalent to what we charge now. And so if somebody calls up to request a building inspection, Ben goes out and does it, and then just bills the patient or the client, the homeowner, for those services that are, so the idea is, if right now I don't know what we charge for building inspections, probably some different factors go into that. But right now it's not a revenue producing vessel for the county. And so all that is just taken, Ben will bill them directly and they'll pay him directly.
So when we talk about doing the MAC, is that how we talk about with Ben? Because we've been talking about doing that, having Ben, taking the position, because, he was trained under us and he had the qualification. He knows our, have been doing it. I know he'll have to be gone for other training for his new job. So I understand that. And we have in place, we have Johnson the Mills. They have been really generous and good to help us all along. And I think they will be willing to do that. And to be an interim in the process. I understand that. I just wonder how come Kristen didn't come to present that to us, and so I just wondering why. Are you taking her place? I mean, I just kind of confused a little bit, and so yeah, I figured that we had treated her really well, here. I don't know why she felt like she couldn't come in and talk to us, because we already had talked about having this position. The second position, I haven't, I'm complete a little bit, because it was put in the agenda kind of last minute, and I don't have no time to review that and approve it today. So my feeling would be we need to table or figure out something we can do. I think that it's not like it's not somebody to take over if they need to be till we figure out, we can review. And so
What is it that you have a problem with?
Well, I have a problem because we haven't had it in the agenda until the last minute, and there was no information in our packet, and I don't have I had no way to communicate. Maybe other commissioners have ways to communicate with you, but I don't. I don't know. But I just think that I don't feel like I can approve something I haven't read, and so and so am I out of place to question this? I don't know.
So you get lots of packets that are 300 pages long. Are you telling me you read every packet, every page of that 300 pages?
I do.
Okay.
I do it 2 or 3 times. And last night I only got 2 hours sleep. I was sick for 2 days, and I got up and I started working and reading it. And there's, I don't know. I have a conflict. I feel like I can't approve something that we haven't. I don't know. That's my feeling. I don't know how the other commissioners feel about it.
Well,
and they can ask
very
questions.
Simple to me. It's a contract where we hired Ben and.
Yeah, I totally okay with Ben. We already have Mac and I have been talking about that. That was the day we were going in that direction, so that's not a problem. The problem comes to me is when we get something in the agenda, and I had no idea. I don't know if the other commissioner knew about this. I had never heard of this, and so, and I have a responsibility. I'm the chair of this, right now, and sometimes I can see it's a very difficult situation to be in, but I cannot approve something that I had not heard before. And how, other than something was coming, reading, there's something is here, nothing in the packet. And so I'm not criticizing, I just want you to understand. And the thing is, we have been only how many days without an assess, a person, just a couple of days?
About a week, yeah.
About a week. And so I know the other departments are waiting for a long time for things. And so everything's slow and coming to pass. And I feel bad that Kristen didn't feel like she can come to us. I feel like we had treated her well, and we had never went out of the way to do anything that's inappropriate for her. And so.
Well, maybe you need to talk to her about that.
Anyway, so anybody can.
I have a question about the contract. Yeah. So I can see that it's got Corey and Ben in the same contract. So I do know that I had a discussion with Clayton Holt, who is over the hospital health services, and he specifically said, and I did talk to Kristen about this yesterday, that Ben needs to be named in that contract as a local building authority because it is tied to their funding. So I don't know if we want to separate those contracts out so that Ben has that specific.
It's addressed in there. It says that
it is.
Tomco is designated as the local building official. And
okay.
Just the building inspector or
building official.
Official.
He needs to have. Well, that's where specific language on there is the authority having jurisdiction.
Well, so, that's how Clayton said. It just only needed to say exactly that, the local building authority. So I don't know if we need to change official to.
So he has a copy. The whole has a copy of this.
No.
So how did he know that?
No, he doesn't. No.
We were just building inspector.
Okay. Anyway, we were discussing hospital. I was talking to him about hospital things, and so he did not know Ben had terminated his employment with the planning and zoning. He did not know he had gone to the sheriff's office. So he said, I request that this is in there for that reason. So no, he has no, I had not seen this either. So
Yeah, that was what was told to me, is that it needed to say that he was the local
Okay.
building official. So that's
So
what's
it
in
does
there.
look like
If
it's in
if
there.
It needs to be changed, we certainly can change it to make sure that we're in compliance with whatever the hospital is doing.
we just needed to make sure on his end. So yeah, that was his only request, but so.
Anyway, Commissioner Harvey, do you have any comments or questions?
The only question I had was in regards to the contract itself, Mitch. This is gonna be reapproved every year. What's your contract length? Is what I'm asking for. What do you have in mind?
You know, I think it's just a year. The way that it's written now is it just goes from year to year.
Okay.
I think I'd left blank, starting in February 2025 to continue on the anniversary date of each year. Either party can give the other party 90 days written notice if they want out of the contract. And again, you know, that this is just a rough draft of the contract. So I had to come up with a lot of the things on my own without the benefit of having the full view of you know, the issues. So I told Kristen that. I said, this is not one of my best contracts. And she looked it over and made some edits to it.
So how long have we worked on this contract? How long have we been working on the contract?
I got it like one day, and I had court all day yesterday, so I worked on it last night and worked on it again this morning.
Yeah.
So it's a one-day thing.
Yeah, I just want to sound like I am going against you or anything. I just want you to understand where we're coming from too, you know. And
I certainly understand that.
yeah,
and the need to get things on the agenda so that everybody can view them.
Yeah, and
there are times when there's issues like this where you know, we can't really have an uninterruption in these buildings.
yeah, and I understand that, you know.
And so it's not a complicated contract. It simply says that, you know, that Ben is going to take those over and continue doing what he's doing as an independent contractor.
Well, yeah, I don't have problem with Ben, you know, because we had talked about that before. So this is not nothing new. It's just like basically when it came, and you know, not having Kristen come and talk to us is kind of I feel like we have been very welcoming and you know, kept our support, and I just felt bad that she didn't feel like she could come and talk to us, and so I don't know.
Most of the reason why I'm here is because it's a legal issue involving the contract, and as I say, this is a first draft. A lot of times I get up here and you guys look it over and make changes and suggest things, which is fine, and then I take it back, and sometimes you approve it ahead of time if I make those conditions. Sometimes you say, no, bring it back to me.
So are we okay?
This is where the starting point is.
Are we okay to push this to the next meeting for approval? Would that give you enough time to look it over? All of us enough time, I guess? Because none of us have seen it.
Well, I think we have, you know, we have time. I mean, it's not like we need to make a decision right away. We have time to look at that. We can have maybe.
Well, we have people out there that are needing
Yeah, well,
inspections done.
that's the reason we have Johnson the Mills. They can assist it. I don't know.
If I
they
can, so
don't-
we do have the Jones and DeMille contract that's in place, and we can default to that. But I know that there is an urgency, sense of urgency, not only on Kristen's side of it, Mitch's side of it, my side of it, but also the developers and the builders that are out there waiting to pour concrete. They can't because
Yeah,
we don't
but-
have an inspector, and so.
I
If there are
think
things on here that we want to suggest for change, I know.
Well, I
for
haven't
me-
had a time to read it, so
Okay.
if you guys want to
I
pass it,
I'll go ahead and make a motion. There is an urgency, and I know that this is critical. We can always amend.
Yeah.
So I'd like to motion to approve, and if we need to make any additional changes, we can bring it back to repair.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
So with that one, there is a question I have, Mitch. In here, are you requiring to have their own insurance? Because it's not stated in here.
I left the insurance thing blank, and the reason why is because that's pretty hefty.
Does the county then cover them? They're an independent contractor without insurance. If a home burns down or is negligently constructed because of the building inspector didn't catch it, that's as the risk management side of it, that's one of my concerns. And I don't know if we can, with your approval of that, work on the language for the insurance side
Let's
of it
look
with
into
USIP.
it.
Yeah, I left that blank because, and that probably needs to be addressed.
So
Well,
if you,
as an independent contractor, you usually, I mean, you
Have
come
to
in offering
have-
your services.
Yes,
So
and-
you have to cover yourself
yes.
Yeah.
99% of the time.
And
Right.
the limits and everything.
Do we
I
have
think would be
reference
good.
letters?
So-
Do we have reference letters? Do we have,
Yeah,
have this
so-
one
Okay.
person?
With your approval, as long as we can get the insurance language in there, I think we'll be covered.
Yeah, I accept that.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm good with that.
Well, and just so I think to make sure I understand, to put something that they will carry their insurance and name San Juan County as a beneficiary of that.
Additional insured.
Yeah, as an additional insured in an amount that is
I think USIP can help us with determining the amount.
that is standard in the industry.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
can make that change. I do think that as we start working on this, that there's going to need to be some edits and some changes
The-
because it isn't my best contract. I think there's issues that we probably
And we do have lawyers that can help us with that. I mean, if we're not,
I can draft a contract. I've
if we,
done it all my life. So
and so, I'll take the motion, but I just want to make clear I'm not gonna vote in favor. So you'll have
Yes.
Yes.
you have 2 yes and 1
Aye.
no. Thank you.
okay. Can I be excused?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mitch. So then that would cover that next item 21 as well with Corey Coleman, and we'll work to make sure that they're separate.
Okay, so then we are.
And then, so what we need now, you're on the executive session 24.
You ready for me to make a motion?
Entering into a closed
making a
executive
motion.
session
What are we
for the
discussing?
strategy session to discuss pending and reasonable
Okay.
imminent
So all in favor, say aye.
litigation permitted
we-
under.
Wait, I'm sorry.
So did you guys? You did make
Yeah.
the motion. So,
Yes.
So 2 favor and 1.
Who made the motion?
Jamie
Yeah.
made the motion. I made the second.
Oh,
And it
so
was 2-1.
2 aye and 1 no.
actually,
Two.
To
Nay.
executive session.
there's
No.
no, there's no,
No, we're
motion.
back on that.
There's no motion yet.
On the previous one.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Now we're to. Sorry, Mac was
Okay.
talking executive and she was trying to write it down.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I
Okay,
could just hear you
so
on
That's
both
what you
sides.
you guys have time to look at the contract. I have to keep track of this here. It's kind of hard for me to concentrate. Anyway, so So with the other one, we have 3 approved for, anyway.
Thank you.
So shall we make a motion to adjourn to executive session?
I make a motion to go into executive session for
I
the
s-
discussion of pending or reasonable imminent litigation.
I second the motion to go into executive session.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.